You ever get slapped awake before you've had your coffee, not by life, but by someone who thinks they run the world? Yeah, that's pretty much how my Saturday started. A quiet lakeside fishing line between my fingers, the sun barely up, and suddenly I'm staring at a woman in a business suit who looks like she's about to audit my soul. She's holding a sheet of paper. And right off I know it's not a love letter, it's a fine. $999 for sitting by a lake with a fishing rod. I laughed out loud, couldn't help it honestly, then looked at the water, back at her, and realized I had absolutely no clue who actually owned this lake. But I knew right then she wasn't going to be the one calling the shots for much longer. You ever wonder how an HOA can flip your life from quiet to bureaucratic nightmare in under 60 seconds? Well, buckle up, because I'm about to tell you. My name's Patrick O'Connell. Just a regular guy, 35 data analyst by trade, spent years untangling messes for a living, and for the past 6 months, I thought I'd made a good move. Magnolia Creek, that was the name, a sleepy, tree-lined little suburb with a sparkling lake, nice sidewalks, and a realtor who sold me on peace and quiet. She barely mentioned the homeowners association, waved it off as basic maintenance stuff. She never said a word about Beatrice Sterling, the self-appointed empress of the neighborhood. Now, Beatrice, picture a woman in her late 50s, always in a gray power suit, hair yanked so tight in a bun, you wonder if it's holding her whole face together. 4 years running the HOA, and she walked those streets with a clipboard like she was inspecting troops, not people's flower beds. I'd see her some evenings jotting notes on her phone, looking for lawns a quarter-inch too tall or marigolds planted out of order. I guess I should have noticed the way other folks scattered when she turned the corner, old Mr. Henderson dropping his hose like a hot potato, Mrs. Garcia hustling her toddler inside, even the teenagers vanishing when her car rolled up. I ignored all those signs, head in the clouds, just glad to have a quiet routine until the morning it all changed. So here I am, tying a knot my dad taught me when I hear those footsteps crunch the gravel. I don't even turn, assuming it's another early bird. Then that voice cuts in sharp as broken glass. "Excuse me." I look up. There's Beatrice arms, folded lips, pursed portfolio in hand like it's some kind of weapon. "Are you aware that fishing is prohibited in this lake?" she says, her voice carrying that flavor of authority that makes you want to check your pockets for missing change. I'm sorry, what is all I manage, blinking like a fool. Fishing is prohibited here. The lake is for aesthetics. Fishing disrupts the ecosystem. She hands me a citation, $999. Just for enjoying a little peace. I stare at that paper, then back at her honest confusion because I've been fishing here for months. No one's ever said a word, I tell her, but she just hits me with that cold smile that never reaches her eyes, you know the type. Ignorance of the rules is not an excuse. The fine is due in 30 days or legal action. She turns and leaves, victory written in every step. I sat there not angry at first, just baffled. Who gave her this much power? Why was she so invested in micromanaging a lake? I'm a numbers guy, always have been. And suddenly this felt less like a fine, more like a challenge. So I stuffed that paper in my pocket and went home. Curiosity gnawing at me. You want to mess with a data analyst? Good luck. That afternoon, I logged into the HOA portal for the first time since moving in, buried in fine print, vague expenses, and consulting fees that smelled like 3-day-old fish. I started plugging numbers into a spreadsheet: maintenance costs, landscaping, admin fees. The HOA budget had ballooned from $60,000 to nearly $170,000 in 4 years, but the neighborhood hadn't changed a bit. In fact, the flower beds were worse, the grass browner, and the lake maintenance line item up from $2,000 to $18,000, yet nobody could recall seeing a single crew out there. I called up my neighbor Clarence, a retired lawyer who loves a good argument. He pours us wine, flips through my printouts, and says, "You know what's really interesting? There's no company listed for these invoices. It's like they're paying a ghost." We start digging landscaping companies that don't exist. Consulting firms run by Beatrice's friends and family, expenses with no receipts. Meanwhile, stories start popping up all over the neighborhood. Mrs. Patterson fined $500 for flying her American flag at the wrong angle. Mr. Rodriguez written up for a too loud lawnmower. A young couple threatened with a lien because their mailbox was the wrong shade of black. It's a racket, pure and simple, and the deeper we go, the uglier it gets. That night, I can't sleep. Clarence says most folks just pay the fees and keep their heads down, afraid to speak up because Beatrice retaliates hard. I get it, but that's never been my style. So I spend all night collecting documents, organizing spreadsheets, and laying out the whole mess as clear as I can. By sunrise, I've got a website, a digital bombshell, charts, comparisons, scanned contracts, everything you'd need to understand just how badly the HOA is milking us all. I don't put my name on it, I just print a few flyers and leave them at the mailbox, the coffee shop, the park. Did you know your HOA fees have increased by 160% in 4 years? Learn more. Within 24 hours, the neighborhood is buzzing. People are shocked, furious really, but nobody is madder than Beatrice. She fires off an email to every resident, unauthorized defamatory information, legal consequences, you name it. Threatens lawsuits, claims the website is full of lies, hires a law firm to root out the traitors. But here's the thing, her outrage just fans the flames. Residents start doing their own digging. Someone finds the landscaping company is owned by her brother-in-law. Another tracks consulting fees back to Beatrice herself. Invoices for lake equipment that never showed up. Now it's not just my fight, it's a community audit. People are printing out documents, meeting up at the community center, sharing notes on street corners. Mrs. Chen, who got threatened with a lawsuit just for sharing the link, breaks down crying at the grocery store, not because of the money, but because she's tired of being bullied. Beatrice, desperate, doubles down, threatens more lawsuits, announces new security cameras for compliance. Residents feel like they're living in a police state. But that's the last straw. At the next HOA meeting, packed standing room only, Clarence stands up and asks, if there's nothing to hide, why are you hiding it? Beatrice spends 20 minutes talking down to us, refusing to answer questions, dismissing calls for an audit. People start shouting, resign, and she bolts out of the meeting. Revolution's in the air. Now, if you think the story ends there, you don't know. Beatrice. She launches a campaign of petty harassment violation notices for grass decorations, garbage cans, holiday lights, you name it. Hires private security to patrol the streets photographing infractions. Clarence gets a red warning sign planted in his yard, threatened with a $5,000 fine because his mailbox is the wrong color. That's when I decide it's time to stop hiding. I send an email to every resident. My name's Patrick. I built the transparency website. Tomorrow I'll show you what really happened. The next meeting is packed. I walk through every shady contract, every fake invoice, every dollar misspent. Beatrice tries to shout me down, but the crowd isn't having it. They start chanting for her resignation. That night, I get a certified letter lawsuit, threats, demand to shut down the site, a restraining order. But here's the twist. While she's playing legal hardball, I'm down at the county office looking up who actually owns that lake. Turns out the HOA never owned the lake. The real owner? The Magnolia Creek Nature Trust. The heirs want to sell it. So I make an offer, $2.6 million. 2 months later, I own the lake. First thing I do is put up signs, lake access by permission only. And right there, top of the banned list, Beatrice Sterling. You should have seen the neighborhood that day, people snapping photos, whispering, some celebrating, others fuming. Mrs. Simmons stared at the sign for 10 minutes, face red as a beet. Meanwhile, the Martinez family threw a picnic by the water, the first time I'd seen Mr. Martinez smile in months. The division was out in the open, sure, but so was the truth. A few days later, Beatrice shows up on my porch, furious, shouting about her rights. I point to the sign. This is private property now, you're not welcome. She stands there seething, then storms off. That moment, it wasn't sweet exactly, it was just honest. Actions have consequences. With Beatrice gone, the neighborhood changes. The new board hires an auditor, returns West $60,000 in misspent funds, and posts every expense online. People start volunteering again, helping each other out, talking like neighbors instead of prisoners. The lake becomes the heart of the community, kids laughing, families fishing. Clarence telling stories about the day the lake was returned to the people. The ones who'd been banned could earn back their privileges by actually helping out. Some did, most didn't. Beatrice stayed bitter and alone, watching from a distance. 6 months later, Clarence sits beside me on the dock, fishing rod in hand, tells me he never thought anyone would have the guts to stand up to her. I tell him it wasn't guts, just stubbornness and a little help from the truth. My dad used to say the best fishermen are patient, and this time I'd landed the big one. Now I wake up every morning, look out over that lake, and know I did right. Not just for myself, but for everyone who was too scared or tired to fight. Funny, isn't it, how a ridiculous fishing fine can change everything? Sometimes the best way to beat a bully is to pull their kingdom right out from under them and hand it back to the people who actually care. So what do you think? Was I right or did I go too far? Was justice served or did I just replace one problem with another? I want to know where you stand. Tell me in the comments. How would you handle it if your HOA tried to turn your life upside down? Let's talk about it because I guarantee someone out there needs to hear your story too.